Hey, what's up? This is Kyle Alexander, and I am here to tell you today that you do not necessarily need great or perfect credit in order to get business funding. Now, how is this possible? Well, this is what we're going to talk about today. Now, number one, revenue-based lenders, right? Did you know that you can get funding just based on your business income alone and without your personal credit being involved at all? Number two, credit partners. Number three, private money. And number four is grants. We can leverage all of these things to be able to do it. So first off is revenue-based lenders, right? So typically, if you don't know how this works, but typically you're using your personal credit. And this is, I would say, probably the best and the fastest way to do it, to be able to use your personal credit to leverage the funding. And you're basically guaranteeing and saying, hey, I'm going to pay this back. But there are lenders out there that will base it on your ability to pay back, meaning if you have revenue coming into the business, and that means if they lend you money, the likelihood of them getting their money back is higher. So they'll lend out to you based on that. Now, those are called, some call them fintech lenders. I would just say revenue-based or income-based. And if you fit some of these criteria, let's take a look at some of them real quick. So first, have you been open? Has your business been in existence for 6 months at least, right? This goes up even more once you are at 1 year, and at 2 years, the opportunities grow, but you can get funding when your business is open as little as 6 months. Now, why do they do this? Is banks want to see you perform consistently in order to get you funding. So think about that 6-month mark and you might be there. Number two is, do you have 10,000 a month in income, right? And depending on the business type, that may be a lot to you, that may be nothing to you. And if you have those two criteria, then there are a number of options that you can take advantage of. Now, some other things to think about is, what kind of balance do you keep on your account? Is it above 1,000? Because again, this is revenue and not profit. So even if your gross revenue is 10,000 a month, at least $1,000 that is just sitting in your account at any given time on average, you can access this type of funding, right? And making sure that your account does not go into the negative at all at any point. These are the types of things that they're looking for to say, okay, we can base this track record off of something. Now, for your personal credit, they're basing the track record off of how do you handle your finances. And since you are running the company, then we lend based on, okay, this is what's backing it. But in the absence of that, we need something backing it, right? And that's going to be that business income, and it needs to be consistent. So they're going to either be looking for bank statements, or they're going to be looking for software to connect to your bank accounts, and it'll just log you right in and see, okay, what is this? And they're going to base their funding up on those factors, right? A couple of examples that you can check out and look into is, number one is Revenued. There's a American Express line of credit, formerly called Cabbage, that you can check out. That's purely based on business funding, and that gets a bonus if you have a relationship with American Express already. You get a bonus there, but the other one is Funbox. There's some called like Blue Vine and Divvy, or formerly known as Divvy, now is Bill. And there are a number of others, and I'd be glad to share the full list that I have with you in the cheat sheet, in the guide. And if you check the description box, you can get that, and I'll send it to you for free. Now, something to keep in mind when you use these is that you have to be strategic and intelligent when you use these different types of cards and accounts, because they don't all work the same. So these aren't traditionally, they're not like just regular credit cards, regular revolving cards where you can just, make a payment on there and just leave the balance on there forever. They're designed to be used and designed to be paid off, relatively quickly. So they're going to be, some of them have payment terms that might be 6 months or 12 months where you have to pay the entire thing off. Some of them will charge certain amounts of interest, like on a weekly basis. So you have to be mindful of those things, but it can be incredibly powerful. If you did not have access to that type of funding before, and just based on your income to get access to that, it can be really, really powerful when used the right way, and can free up a lot of space, or really provides for some good expansion for the right type of business. Speaking of business, next we're talking about what unlocks the rest of this is just literally doing great business, right? Because what if you don't have that that those numbers, or if you don't make 10,000 a month in your business, or you haven't been open for that long, this is the great place to start. Is you need to be doing great business and like generating cash flow and adding value in the world. That's the best way that you can get your foot in the door, because again, if they're not basing it off of your personal credit, then we're going to be basing it off of something, right? It has to be some reason that you would lend money, right? If you're thinking of it, think about it from the position of the banks. There has to be some reason that they would lend you the money, right? So if you're basing it on that business income, you have to be able to generate and say, to prove to whoever it is, hey, I know how to make the money. If I had more of it, then I would generate more. So this comes to our next parts, right? So the credit partner. So if you do not have great credit, that you can actually add a person onto your LLC. And if that person has good credit, and if you structure it properly, then the bank is going to be looking at that particular person and not your profile, and potentially approve your LLC as a whole for the funding that you might not have gotten on your own. So, and the way that this works is the businesses are basically going to be evaluated based on a percentage of the ownership, right? So let's say that you are an owner and you are like 100% owner, right? So they're going to be looking at anybody that typically is 25% or over. So let's say you have a partner that's at 40% and you're at 60. So now they're going to be looking at both people and both credit profiles in general. So the trick is really to be able to just put on the operating agreement. Typically, the safe zone is if you have like a 90-10. Some institutions are going to be looking at 25% or more. So if you have a 90-10, then now that 90 person is carrying the weight of it, and the credit is going to be extended essentially to that person guaranteeing the funds. Right. So the beautiful thing about that, and the important responsibility, again, doing great business, is that person is going to be held liable if you happen to default on the loans or on the credit. So which is why the most important thing you can do is just be great at what you do, be great at generating income, so that you just need that fuel to push forward what it is that you're doing. And everybody can be happy and sleep at night well. So you want to be very, very careful with that when you are including other people. But again, it can be very, very powerful. You can access with the right combination, depending on the length of time that your LLC has been open and some other factors. You can easily access up 100,000, 150,000, 200,000 without much trouble. And what could that do for your business if you had the right plan, right? So number 3 is kind of similar, but we're talking about leveraging private money, right? So instead of going to a bank, we're going to go just to a lender. There are people that have money, right? So some people just have money sitting around. Other people also have access to their own credit that they can lend out on certain deals and things like that. So if you have the right plan, again, coming back to doing great business, if you have the right plan, if you have the right team, if you have the right vision, if you have the right track record, then you can walk to somebody and say, hey, if I had this amount of money and I could make you back this amount of money, would you lend it to me? And they say, hey, what is your track record? What's the likelihood that this is going to work? If all that pans out, then they can give you that money straight out. And I know people, and I've seen people and have done some myself, where if it's a real estate deal or if it's another type of investment in the trucking world or any sort of thing, that if the numbers make sense, then somebody will invest in it. Right. So, and that doesn't necessarily depend totally on your credit. It just depends on your reputation, on your word, on your ability to get it done. Right. So again, I'm going to say this 20 times on here, but doing great business and having a great reputation and being able to stand on that is really, really important across the board. And this kind of comes back to changing the mindset, right, around personal credit, around what bad credit means. And around the concept that, can I have good credit, or I've always had bad credit and it's nothing you can do? Well, I want to tell you today that there is something you can definitely do. There's something that you can and should do today to take action towards that. There are steps you can do to clean up credit, to clean up a credit report in order to be positioned for funding. But the thing that we want to make sure of is, I know for here, if you're following me on this channel, there's certain things that we do, certain things that we do not do, right? So there's a difference between cleaning a credit report and actually cleaning out a debt that's owed, right? So we pay our debts, we pay everything on time. The way you do one thing is the way you do everything. So just because we can actually remove certain things from a credit report, that doesn't mean that we've released our obligation to pay, right? So we want to build the mindset and the track record again to be able to say like what I say, I do, right? Because if you become a trustworthy person, then guess what? People start to trust you with money, start to trust you with resources, start to trust you with time, right? And with energy. So being that trustworthy person, it's those principles that you start to build up that makes it really, really important, right? And once people do that, and whether those people are, again, the banks, whether that's a private lender, or our next point, which is grants. So you can access grants without having great credit, meaning if you're doing a great service for the community or for the city or for anything like that, and you can prove, hey, this is what I will do if I had these funds. I would do this, this, and this. There are people out there that can contribute towards that. There are programs, there's tons of money out there, but you have to be able to prove, hey, I can do it. And once again, somebody keep a count on this. Doing great business is the linchpin and the cornerstone of all of this. So just keep that in mind. And we want to make sure that we are standing on a good foundation as we go forward. So if you want more access to any of this information, just download my free guide that I'm going to include in the description. And also definitely stay tapped into this channel as we go into more detail and talk about more strategies. And the thing I want you to know is that it is possible for you, and you need to start today. Start today. It's possible. Just believe me. I've seen it tons of times with lots of different people. And if you start today, the time goes by super quick, and you will realize, okay, if I hadn't started, I wouldn't have been further along. So just take that step to fix the credit, to fix your mind, to fix your mindset, right? And we can't fix the credit unless we fix the cranium, right? So all of that stuff is really, really important. And I'm excited for you just for watching this far. Please hit like, subscribe, hit the bell. We're definitely going in deep. I'm sharing all the information I can to see you see your freedom, right? Everybody deserves to have that freedom and to not be locked away and to be able to live their gifts and their purpose and their passion. So this is the best way that I know to do it, is to be able to access these funds and leveraging other people's money and leveraging other people's experiences and skill sets and mentorships, doing all that to be able to get to freedom as fast as possible, because life is not promised. So I hope you take this information and run with it, and be well. I'll see you at the top.